Alright guys, so welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk to you about something that I've been learning with the hack motion, and basically is pronation and supination of the lead arm. So the lead arm is your left arm, in other words, and basically I've been using the hack motion to see exactly what's going on with my pronation and my supination. All it is the movement of your forearm. There's pronation and supination, like that. That's all it is. Some people say it's the wrist, but obviously if you move your wrist, you're also going to move your forearm. I like to think more of your forearm. And remember, these are feelings that, in my opinion, it's something that you just have to be aware of. It's not something that you can force. I mean, it's not like I'm going to try to force that feeling, but instead I have to be aware of it. The same with ulnar deviation. It's not something that I can force myself to do, but it's something that I can be aware of. With ulnar deviation, I was aware of that I could do this right here. I can move my wrist down and radial up like that. So with this pronation and supination, then basically when I sit up, I'm aware how much of this I'm doing and how much of that I'm doing. I think the way it works is you have to cock it. So basically, if you want to do supination, first you have to pronate in order to do that. So just like when you throw a rock, you have to do that and then that. So you can't just do that movement because you're already there, so you can't create that movement. Same with flexion. A lot of people want to do flexion like that, and you can't do that. The only way you can do that is by starting with some extension and then you flex. And the same thing with ulnar deviation. You start a little bit up and then down like that. So the same thing happens with, in my opinion, with pronation and supination. So obviously we're not going to think about doing this pronation, supination, flexion, extension. I think what happens, the most important thing for me using the hack motion is looking at my setup. When I set up the ball, I understand that I have to feel this ulnar deviation, okay? So I have to be aware that I can pull the club down this way, up and down like that. Then I have to add a little extension, so I'm aware that I have to do a little bit of this, so then I can do a little bit of that. Extension and flexion. So I'm going to start with extension, so then on my downswing I'm going to feel ulnar deviation, which automatically is going to take me to flexion. So now with this pronation and supination, I have to be aware of how much I'm twisting my wrist, my forearm this way. So I know that if I want to supinate, then I have to start with some pronation, which means it has to be this way right here. So which is kind of like the same sensation of doing extension, so like that. And I know if I start like that, just naturally my arm is going to release and supinate. So I was comparing my data with the hack motion, and unlike flexion, extension, ulnar deviation and radial deviation, where it really depends on the player, because a lot of people play differently. Not everybody's going to start in the same position. Everybody's going to have a different position at different times in their swing. But with pronation and supination, it's basically the same thing. Some people start with more pronation, some with more supination, and you know, it's good because everybody's different. But the only thing that I found out here in my data, when I compare to any player, because I compare to a lot of players, is basically, if you look at the benchmark on my position rotation, that's what it is. Basically how much I'm pronated and how much I supinated. So I started with 45 and I go to 72. So basically, when I checked through all my shots, basically the range between the starting position of pronation and then the end position of supination, it's for me it was really wide. This one right here was a great shot for me, as you can see, and in here you can see it went from 52 to 63, so that was better. And not only compared to this person right here, this golf pro, but I compared to many other swings, and everybody had the same range. So the range was very narrow. It was like from, regardless of where they started, you know, they could start at 40 and then end at 50. And for me, it was like if I started at 40, I ended at 70, and all the players started at 40 and ended at 50. So I saw that there was something in the numbers that was off in my swing. So basically, what the hack motion is measuring is P6 right here. So from this position right here is going to measure my forearm.
P6 to P7, so from this position to impact, and then from P7 to P8. So that's what I'm getting measured, not from the address position or the start position or the finish position. So I'm only looking, the hack motion is only giving me measurements on the P6 to P7 and P7 to P8.
So basically the reason why those numbers were off is because there was two different swings. One was like this, where I go like really narrow like this, which is characteristic of my swing. And what I did is I tried to keep like a high finish, more like this, like kind of eliminating the chicken wing. And I figured out what the more I eliminate the chicken wing, the more my numbers are narrow. So obviously some pro golfers, when they play like a knockdown shot, they're gonna do this right here, and the numbers are gonna be similar to mine. But on their regular swings, especially with the driver, because normally you don't play a knockdown driver, but with the driver, that's where I saw the most difference. And basically everybody is more like this, and I was too much this way right here. So as soon as I corrected that, my numbers, my data was narrowing down. Okay, so now I have the hack motion. I have an 8-iron. I'm gonna aim at the tree over there, and basically I'm gonna do exactly what I was trying to tell you. So I can see my extension and my ulnar deviation. So for me, I try to put a little of extension like that. So I have 25 extension about there. I have to be aware of my ulnar deviation, and now I want to add a little bit of supination here. Okay, and we're gonna see that it's not gonna show me the supination at the start at the address position, but it's gonna show me when I take my full swing. So a little bit of extension and some pronation, and let's see what happens. Okay, so you see how this went just a little bit to the right. I look at the numbers, 27 to 69. Okay, and there, if you look at my swing, I kind of had like a little chicken wing, and look at the range from, it went from 27 to 69. So that's quite a lot. Now if I compare that, you're gonna see that for an 8-iron, a lot of professionals have it narrow. So if they start at 27, they're gonna end like at 37. Okay, that was right on line actually. And it went a little higher. You notice how it went from 31 to 73. So it's slightly narrow, but not quite there, I would say. Which for me, for my irons are fine. The only problem I think is when it gets to my driver. If I do this with my driver basically I have to like really release like that, because I have the too much of a chicken wing.
So another interesting data is the speed here. You can see is basically the speed that you get from P6 to P8, and this can be used to see exactly what how much speed, how much you're twisting your forearm. So doing pronation to supination from P6 to P8. So if you compare your data, or you're doing the benchmark, make sure like you're gonna be different. So you can't be trying to have the same numbers as other pro golfers. What I would do is just look for patterns, try to see what is the pattern of different golfers, see what kind of pattern they're following, and then look at that. So don't just look at the number. Like for instance here, address position, the benchmark is actually have a lot more has a lot less supination than I have. But if I look at the pattern, he goes from 12 to negative 18. I went from negative 37 to negative 27. So if I look at the pattern, it's about the same. Same with the flexion and extension address. This golfer has plus 25 and I have plus 20. And then I go from plus 25 to plus 9. He goes from plus 25 to plus 14. So look at the patterns, don't look at the just the exact numbers. And I would do the same thing on this one right here.
All right guys, so that was it for the video. That's my understanding of supination, pronation. A few of my subscribers asked me on another video about this feeling, supination, flexion, extension, ulnar deviation, And I think it's not a feeling that you can force. You cannot force yourself to do that feeling, but I think it's something that comes more natural, and you have to be aware. So for me, every time I address the ball with a little extension, a little ulnar, knowing that I'm going to do radial on the takeaway, then I get a good shot. If I address myself with flexion like this, a lot of like radial right here, it's not gonna get. I'm already in my impact position, and like I said before, you have to start in one position like this in order to do that. You know, you can't start on your finish position and then just go finish again, in my opinion. And that's ever since I started doing that, I've been hitting better and better shots. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.